Why were you a Charlie XX fan?
I just think that she's like so herself and has been doing this thing, and everyone's just finally now catching up to it.
So your song Charlie's Garden is said to be inspired by your friendship with Stranger Things star Charlie Heaton.
Love him. It's just like a little homage to my bud, I guess.
Obviously, you wrapped the final season and everyone is so excited about it. You've basically watched your castmates grow up during this time. Millie Bobby Brown is now married.
I'm not married.
Yeah.
Wow.
What can you tell us about this final season? What can fans expect?
Good question.
I think you're scared of being basic. That's ironic, cause it's reading like you're even more basic. It's not funny, it's so funny.
How you feeling today?
Excited.
Yeah.
Nervous.
I mean, it's a big day for you.
Excited, yeah.
You're officially kicking off your Back on You tour.
Yeah.
In Portland, Oregon, the first of 3 nights.
Yeah.
You also have your new album, The Crux, coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
You just released The Potion last night.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on for you, Joe.
There's a lot going on.
How are you feeling? What's going through your head right now?
Good, excited. We've been working really hard. We've got like a large group of people who are working to make this whole thing happen. So it's, exciting to kind of see something through to this stage, and to it's really cool to also be in Portland. I've never been here, and to have these 3 shows to start, it feels like a really great way to start the whole thing off. So
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Portland so far?
It's great. I've been running around and walking around and eating Thai food and enjoying myself. Yeah,
The best of Portland.
It's been really good.
I don't know if you know this, but Live 95.5 actually played End of Beginning more than any other station in the entire country.
Let's go.
Yes. So shout out to Live 95.5.
Sweet.
All right. So, your new album, The Crux, is coming out tomorrow. So can you talk to us about The Crux, and why did you call it that?
That came kind of later, I guess, in the process. Yeah, that song was maybe like end of last summer, and the album was going to be called maybe something else. And at that point, it was just a collection of a bunch of songs. And there were a lot more that didn't make it on the record, but it just kind of felt like beginning to, pick the order and pick the songs that were really going to make it. It felt like it kind of embodied something and was a little sticky name that I kind of liked and stuck around with me. And I kind of like that I've never done an album with like a title track, and it's a little different. It's not called The Crux on the album. The song's just called Crux, but I also kind of thought that was sort of nice too.
There's a crux to everything, not everybody's contemplating it.
You just like the word, really.
I do like the word. Yeah,
Good word.
And it links kind of into the last album for me in a way.
How's that?
Well, just the meaning of the word is like the decisive point of something. It's kind of the tipping point. And it seemed to have a good embodiment of what the record means for me and what my process was also, making it and living it.
And you chose Basic Being Basic as the lead single off the album.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that song specifically?
That's just basic being basic. You said you look just like a girl, so you like girls, I guess I'll take it. Yeah, that's funny, you're so funny.
There's kind of, I'm no good at choosing singles. I've learned that in the past. You kind of trust other people, I guess, really. And it's a song that I feel like is kind of an outlier a little bit on the album, but has, for me, an important place on the album just because it is kind of a little spiteful and like still cheeky, but also... it's just like a funny little song. It just felt like the right one, I guess. I have no idea.
I feel like those descriptions kind of fit more for Delicia. Like, kind of spiteful, a little cheeky.
Yeah, I guess that one too.
Oh God, I wish I could delete you, 'cause nothing can compete with you. I replenish and repeat you. A heart excretes only one of us.
I really liked those two, though, as the lead, because they felt like, in the little 7-inch artwork that we made, I think embodies this, they felt like two sides of the same coin. It's like two perspectives on the same situation, and how that can so easily, one day you feel one way and the next day that you feel another. And every life experience I feel like is so multi-dimensional, and when you look back on it 5 days after it happened, or 10 days, or a year or 2 years, it's always my feelings are convoluted and multi-dimensional, I guess.
Hindsight is 20/20, as they say.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Like that first album.
And you also just released Potion last night.
I'll try for all of my life just to find someone who leaves on the light for me. Leaves on the light for me.
I like this song specifically because I was getting I could feel the influences of like Fleetwood Mac in there, which is what I like obsessed with. So that song specifically for me is like instant hit. I replayed it immediately.
That's nice.
So
of you.
can you talk to me about that track?
Yeah, that one was the last album was really in the computer. This one I was like, okay, let's get back to songwriting and just focusing on what really happened. I like realized that it would be very difficult for me if I was at a family gathering for someone to be like, hey, can you play that song from Decide? I would be like, no, I actually just cannot play that, because it was created in a way where I don't know. I can't like sit down and play these things on piano or guitar just because it's like so reliant on the production. So in starting the writing of this one, I was like, maybe I'll just get back to acoustic guitar. Hadn't done that in a while, and got a guitar I was really into and was exploring just with, great guitar players, how the techniques they use. So this thing called Travis picking, where your thumb is kind of doing a bass thing and then your fingers up are doing like more of a melody. So yeah, just I was in Calgary working on a show and living up there and Fargo, and wrote that name drop. Yeah. And then just like cataloged the idea. I was like, okay, I'll come back to that. And then took that into the studio and just kind of did the whole thing, which was great. And there were a couple things that we added later, a little slide guitar. Adam came back and he added a little this thing called an Otello. It's like a kind of it's almost like a harmonica sort of sounding keyboard. And there's a massive fan that is going so added that, and then it was done. Yeah.
And then there you go.
It's kind of like fun and playful, and like kind of reminds me of almost like I said Harry Nilsson for that for sure. Someone said like Sesame Street to me recently.
Oh, that's like, interesting.
You're not wrong, honestly.
Elmo up in there.
But it's like wistful and hopeful.
Wistful. Yeah, it is.
And yeah.
You obviously you're talking about the production of it, and the Crux was recorded at the legendary Electric Lady Studios in New York City, where a number of legends have also recorded their albums there. People like Harry Styles, Frank Ocean, Lady Gaga, Kendrick Lamar. I mean, the list goes on. So just out of curiosity, did that legacy lend to your headspace while you were creating the Crux?
You can't help, I guess, but realize like, oh, they did Fame in here. Mm-hmm. They did Back in Black. Mm-hmm. Like we had a couple moments where we were like the drum sound in that room, the sound of the room is like, oh, that is that sound. That's cool. That sound. So you definitely have like moments along where you're kind of, it's brought into focus that all these amazing people have worked in these rooms and stuff. Or I saw some Taylor Swift video actually of her figuring out, I forget what song it was, and she's like in a studio. I'm like, oh, I know that place. I know exactly where she is. That's very weird. But it's kind of nice because I'm not confronted on the day-to-day with any of these people being in there. It's just me, really, and Adam and Wes and John Rooney and Austin. And so for me, it's just like, it becomes, pretty quickly, it actually becomes very comfortable. And the legacy of all that stuff kind of falls away, and you can just kind of focus on messing around. Well,
funny you mentioned Taylor Swift. You had a funny interaction, I guess, with Taylor Swift at the Electric Lady Studios when you were leaving the space, right?
It was just mostly with her fans. I didn't see her at all.
The Swifties.
I heard she was working upstairs and exited to a cacophony of not really cacophony because I opened it and everybody thought I was going to be Taylor Swift, and they're like, And then a couple people were like, wait a second, that's that guy from Stranger Things, and followed me down the street. So that was really the run-in.
Or our last interview, actually, you mentioned that she had said that she was a fan of End of Beginnings.
Yeah.
And you were kind of like, whoa, like that's so cool. Was there anyone else that, you had that moment with, that's another artist that kind of said the same thing, or even that you had a run-in with at Electric Lady Studios?
I can't think of anybody right now who necessarily said that, but definitely you see some cool people walking around the halls. Like, saw Patti Smith a couple times. That was like very cool. St. Vincent, and she was working upstairs for a while. This is maybe crude, but I peed next to Omar Apollo one time. He's very tall. Like, who's this guy?
Are those moments where you're like, hey, we should collab on a song?
I wasn't going to bring it up to him while he was peeing.
Fair.
I kind of just left and was like, I'm not going to do this right now.
All right. Well, speaking of End of Beginning, it went viral on TikTok.
Hey. No.
It did go viral 2 years after it released, amassing over 1.4 billion streams on Spotify, earning nominations at the Billboard Music Awards, the Brits.
And when I'm back in Chicago, I feel it. Another version of me, I was in it.
How did the success of that song potentially influence the way you were creating these new songs on the new album?
More than influence, I think it was just encouraging that something that I was a pretty personal and direct song for me seemed to have an effect on people. So I guess it didn't necessarily change the way I was going to write it, but just encouraged me that maybe the path I was going down was like, oh, maybe people might like this new music then, if that's the case. Because I felt like, in terms of Decide, that song was definitely the one that was done most in the studio and done most organically. Like, I guess that would be the only song on that album that I could probably sit on guitar and just be like, here are the power chords for this song. So, yeah, I guess that was maybe the influence there.
You recently performed at the same festival as Charlie XCX, who you've mentioned before as being an influence on Decide. So, you're now billed on the same ticket. She's in your audience watching you perform. How does that, like what kind of goes through your mind as, an artist that you were inspired by and is now watching you perform? You guys are peers, you're billed on the same festival.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
Why were you a Charlie XCX fan?
Good question. I just think that she's like so herself and has been doing this thing, and everyone's just finally now catching up to it. But she's been doing this for a while, and she's like very purely herself. And I just have a lot of respect for that, I guess. I have a lot of respect for anybody who is like doing their thing and doing it very well. And I just like the music too. I just think the music is iconic, and it's like full of candy. It's like every step of the way you're like, what's going on? So I really like that as somebody just production wise. And then in terms of being a part of these shows and festivals with these other artists, I feel a lot of pressure, I guess, to perform well and to try and take these songs that we worked on and try to translate them into the live experience, because, it's a different thing. And I am new to touring. It's kind of funny to be like really new at something at this point in my life. I'm like in my early 30s, and like to challenge myself to put myself out there in that way it's been an interesting challenge, and it has been fun. And yeah, I've like been able to prove to myself that I can maybe do more than I thought I could do.
Nice. I always love having that. You can prove that to yourself. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there a feeling of any? I mean, it's hard for us to think that like maybe you would have any feeling of imposter syndrome, just because you have this huge song. You've been in the space for so long.
Yeah, I feel like that all the time, and I don't think that ever goes away, though. I think everybody kind of feels that way. And then after a certain point, you just have to be like, well, whatever, and just kind of keep moving forward, because I guess like doubting yourself in that way and putting that cloud over your own head is only going to get in the way. So you sort of have to, it's a good lesson in just like self-confidence. And that doesn't mean you have to, I won't say what I was going to say. You don't have to be like a jerk about it, or you don't have to be a dick about it.
The PG version, yeah.
You don't have to be a jerk about it. You can still be like confident and kind. But I think, just believing in yourself and continuing forward, even though sometimes you'll get slapped one way or slapped the other way.
I have to ask though, did you talk to Charlie about a potential collaboration at any point?
Oh man, whenever. Come on, let's go. Yeah. I'll do it. Well, whatever. That would be very cool. I think all the music I've ever done has been very insular and just kind of like a thing for me, and been with my friends and kind of this small community. So it would be kind of fun to branch out and put myself in a new position of, well, I don't know how this is going to go, but maybe we'll make something cool, maybe not.
Yeah.
I definitely would feel a little more confident now than I would have a couple years ago. So I'm definitely interested.
Okay, great. And you have Coachella coming up.
Yeah.
How's that? Are you excited?
Yeah. Good. Excited. Yes. And, it's just crazy, I guess. So just go in, take a big swing.
We love that. Big swings are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your song Charlie's Garden is said to be inspired by your friendship with Stranger Things star Charlie Heaton.
I love him.
One more day in Charlie's Garden. One more day.
Can you share the story behind that?
I was at Charlie's house. We were neighbors in Atlanta, and I was living with my friend, and their yards connect. And so there's a little gate, and you go back there. So I walked over to Charlie's house, and they were going on a hike, him and Natalia, and I just was hanging out and said, hey, do you mind if I play your piano in your house while you're gone? And they left and wrote that song. They came back, said, hey, I wrote a song about you. And then, like maybe about a month later, went and recorded it. That song was done actually in LA, the only song that wasn't done at Electric Lady. And it's just like a little homage to my bud, I guess. And I get a part of the experience of writing the record was being, I guess, a little more intentional about being very direct about what I was writing about, and trying to maybe think less grand scheme and more relationship based almost, or experience based. Like these songs could be a way to memorialize either a relationship in your life or the way you feel about someone, or like Charlie. Like when I listen to that song, I think about living in Atlanta and everything I was going through. So selfishly for me, it's just like a little time capsule where I can listen to it and be like, oh yeah. So yeah.
Do your other Stranger Things co-stars, are they like, he got a song, where's my song?
Not yet. They haven't said that. Maybe when they hear the album, they'll be like, what about Gaten's Garden?
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of Stranger Things, obviously you wrapped the final season and everyone is so excited about it. And this is the closing of a huge chapter for you. You've basically watched your castmates grow up during this time. Millie Bobby Brown is now married. So I can only imagine, like what it is from your perspective.
I'm not married.
Yeah.
Wow.
She beat you.
Man, I got to do some growing up.
What's that whole experience been like for you, if you can kind of sum it up?
Hard to really sum it up. It's like, imagine like college experience times 2, and then add another half time wise, and so just I mean, that's put simply. I feel like it's like that. It's like this graduating class that I've kind of come up with, and we're all great friends, and we've lived this kind of life together, and we have this shared experience, and I'm excited to obviously see the show, but the experience is what really means the most to me. And the experience that we had this last time around was equally, challenging and exciting and bittersweet. That yeah, it's just everything that you would imagine. Yes.
And a lot of them are also very musically inclined. Are you jamming out with anyone, like in between takes, like you and Finn or Gaten?
I know Finn's releasing a bunch of new music, which I've heard. He's amazing. Amaya is an amazing musician. Charlie is as well. Sadie everybody's talented. I always find that most people who are artistic in any way probably have maybe more than one output or thing that they're interested in, painting or writing or something. So it's no surprise to me that they're good at other things too, which I'm sure will come out.
Okay, I have to ask. I know you can only tell us so much, but what can you tell us about this final season? What can fans expect?
Nothing. I can say nothing. Can't say anything. And if I said anything, I'd be too scared.
Yeah.
But I know how it ends.
Okay, well, we're excited to see that. In your early performances as Joe, you used to adopt a disguise and you would wear a wig and sunglasses to kind of separate your musical identity from your acting identity, I assume? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've since shed that persona. Mm-hmm. Could you share what led to that change and also how that's potentially influenced the way you interact with the audiences while you perform now?
Learning curve there, for sure. It was kind of fun. I was sort of doing this little the glasses and the wig, and I could kind of like lean into that a little bit, and it was a little bit of I don't know. It was nice to have that crutch. But for this, it felt like, end of beginning had kind of done its thing. Mm-hmm. The music feels to me more personal than maybe it has ever before. I'm sure that happens every time, but it felt that way this time. And it just felt like the right time, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I'm all about kind of seeing things through a different lens or having like a concept for something, but removing that this time felt like the biggest challenge and the biggest way to, just make myself uncomfortable, I guess. And maybe in doing that, it will invite people also into the music a little bit more by sort of exposing myself in that way. So it felt like, why hide behind this thing right now? We can say goodbye to the wig. Maybe, I don't know, we'll come back later, but in a different iteration. I don't know. Yeah.
So do you think this album you just said it's more personal than your other albums?
I just felt like a big intention for me was to focus lyrically and to just be direct, I guess. Sometimes I feel it's really easy to get like kind of frilly with your lyrics or try to hide things, or maybe you're thinking a little too large. I just wanted to be like direct and not hide as much.
Do you have a personal standout song on this new album?
Oh man, I don't know. You go through like a love-hate relationship with all songs. I feel like at one point you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. Yeah. Congratulations to me. And then later you're like, I hate this song. So my current favorite right now is maybe Egg. I hated Egg. I used to hate Egg, but it's come back around. It's come back into vogue in my own mind. So
that's so interesting how that happens.
I don't know why it happens, but it's probably because you listen to it like 500 times.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
So, obviously you're not only an accomplished musician, you're an accomplished actor.
Thank you.
You do have an upcoming film, Range Life, a Pavement Story.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I'm the imposter that doesn't belong. This is music. If it's fun, it's fun. If it's work and that's not fun.
Everything's ending here.
Alongside a cast that includes Jason Schwartzman and Nat Wolff. And they both have musical backgrounds.
See, that's what I mean. Like everybody is like, oh yeah, I do this. And yeah, I'm a photographer. Yeah, I do a little this, a little that. So everybody has a thing that they do.
I mean, I feel like I have one thing, so you have like multiple things. So I don't know. I feel like you should leave some talent for some other people.
You probably have more than one thing. I'm sure you do.
Do you guys ever jam out in between sets? When you're shooting with other people that have such talent?
We didn't jam out. I was stressed out. It was very quick. It was like 10 days. And the nature of the film is, I think, extremely interesting. It's not a traditional biopic. It's really influenced, I think, by the ethos of the band from, that era. And it's a bit of a mockumentary, it's kind of a bit of a bunch of different things. So while we were making it, it was just, you're kind of walking this tightrope where you want to pay homage to the band in a cool way, but you also want to take liberties and you want to, you're like playing someone else, which I had never done. So it was, and it was also in this run of, I did like a bunch of different things where I was like Mr. On the Road. It was in the middle of recording all this stuff too. So, it was an interesting experience. I'm excited I have not even seen it, so I'm excited to see it too. But the experience of it was cool. Like Tim Heidecker, huge influence on me, and Jason Schwartzman, man, like we were all kind of like sitting in the room just listening to those two guys talk, like, wow, these guys are amazing. But met a lot of great friends on that job, and Alex is a genius, so excited for people to see that.
Nice, yeah, we're excited to see it.
Thanks.
Nat Wolff is good friends and has also opened up musically for Billie Eilish. So, have you had a chance to meet her, like through that shoot?
No, I met her at like really quickly at some event. Her and Phineas, her brother, and they just seem like really cool and normal people. They were like, "Hey, what's up?" Something, we talked for 2 seconds and we're like, yeah, they were cool. I really liked them.
Well, maybe we can get a collab there too at some point.
Sure.
Just rack up these collabs.
Rack up the collabs.
So you mentioned that you're shooting Fargo while you're making this album. You're also shooting Pavement. So it's like, how do you kind of flip the switch between musician and actor?
Well, acting was like my job. When I was doing music at this point, it wasn't necessary. It was really just, I had these 2 albums out for sure, but it's helpful for me to think about it as like, this is the thing that I do for me and it's fun for me and I get to do it. Not that acting isn't fun, but, it just helps for me to think about that. I don't know why. And bouncing back and forth is really nice. And I'm also talking directly about my own life, I guess. When you're an actor, you're kind of like, you're seeing all these characters through the lens of yourself. So you're bringing your own personal experience and you're bringing bits of yourself to these characters, but you're not necessarily saying your own words, or you're not, working on the construction of a scene, So I really like to get into like editing brain a lot. And that, for me, is a great part about music, is the arrangement of songwriting, the writing of the songs, the lyrics and stuff, and putting myself into that. So it just is kind of nice after kind of getting into someone else's head for a while to sort of be like, okay, now let's go like purge about all the other stuff that's going on in my own life. Yeah.
Nice. So, well, obviously you've been so busy with acting and music. What are you doing in your downtime? Like, what is Joe Keery out here doing just to kind of unwind? Like, you have hobbies?
Good question. The downtime has been slim recently, but I am incredibly lucky. And one of the coolest things that I never thought I would be able to do is to travel as much as I have. And so to find myself in Perth, Australia, and just be able to take a run or take a walk, or I'm also with all my friends doing this. So that's like, Ted, let's go grab a sandwich and walk by that river. Playing tennis, I really like to do that.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm pretty addicted to the work stuff. It's very fun. It's very, very fun for me to do it.
What's the saying? If you pick a job you love, you never work a day in your life.
I think that's really that's very true. And I've been lucky enough to get 2. So I feel pretty lucky.
Nice. Yeah. So you guys be sure the Crux comes out tomorrow. Joe's performing 3 nights in a row here in Portland. Tonight is your first show. We're so excited to see it. Congratulations on everything, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Give it up for Joe, guys.
Thank you, guys.